Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to our interview prep series with Varun Garg. He's currently working at Amazon. He's a TPM, and he's recently transitioned from the software engineering role to the TPM role. And I know this is a transition that a lot of us are looking to make in our careers, or are at least thinking about. And I know one of the biggest questions I've heard is, as a SDE, how do I transition to TPM or PM roles? And that's what we're going to talk about today with our mentor Varun, who will be joining us shortly, and will be describing, various aspects of his journey, his tips and tricks, and so on, as we do in these interview prep series. Hopefully, at the end of it, you'll be able to understand things like how to um, prepare for these kind of roles and the transitionary period, and really how to decide if such a role is for you and when to make that switch or that trigger point, as it's so called. And I'm Puneet Kohli. I'll be moderating this session today. And pretty much Varun's going to be taking over, and I'll just jump in between to kind of ask your guys' questions that you've sent us in advance and really make it valuable for everyone that's tuning in. And let's add Varun. Hey, Varun.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good, Puneet. Thanks for having me on FAANG.
Yeah, definitely, man. Thanks for coming. And it's going to be a really exciting session. I know I was just saying, a lot of people are interested in this transition from the SD to this PM category of roles.
Yep.
And everyone kind of has, the same set of questions pop up all the time. And I hope that, you'll be able to answer from your own experiences about this.
Yeah, I'll try my best. And in case if I miss anything, so feel free to let me know via my email or contact details. So yeah, I'm happy to help.
Definitely. And we'll put all of Varun's contact details in the description so you guys can always reach out after.
Yep. I
Cool.
guess I'm viewing at the other screen. So let me try to bring the view to my laptop actually. That will make it more appropriate. Yeah. And 1 second. Cool.
Awesome. Cool. So I gave a quick intro already, Varun, about you.
Sweet.
So feel free to just jump in, tell us about yourself.
Sure. Hi everyone. I'm Varun. I'm currently TPM at Amazon. And coming to my background, so far I have like about 3.5 years of experience as an SD at Microsoft, and 2.5 years as SD again at Amazon, and about 1 month, like I just transitioned to TPM at Amazon. And before that, I did my master's from New York University. And like so far, like I started off as an SD, and while doing the projects and also being interacting with the different people, you get to know what are the various roles, because at school you are just aware, you just code or you just do your projects, and you're not much exposed to what are the various verticals in the companies that people operate on. So I was just under the impression that SD is the only thing that exists majorly. And once I got in, and when you start interacting with people, start working on projects, you realize what are the various domains people are working on, and you start exploring. And that's where I started looking at various roles and how they, contribute to the product. And that was my first exposure to product management, basically. And so it's trying to more in take up projects where I'm working closely with different kind of roles. So giving, basically being in a space where it gives you exposure to interact with different roles is a good space to start off with. And to tell you more about my journey from an SD to TPM, or what made me think about that, like it boils down to the very fundamentals for me. Like for me, I think personally think technology as a way to solve people's problem. That's how I say it in simple terms. And and also, like, what I personally want to do in my life is, um, probably in few years I want to have some company of my own. And right now my thinking is that it's good to take broader responsibilities, and that will eventually give you more exposure to handle different like various projects. And that is why I'm thinking, just a second, there is uh, are you guys still able to hear me?
Yep,
Okay. 1 second, there's some issue coming up.
on the laptop.
Yeah. um just give me a moment.
So, while Varun is taking care of the technical issues that, always come up, let me tell you guys, or at least follow up on something that Varun said about, his personal goal that he wants to start his own company, and, transitioning into the role that he's currently in, uh, at least he feels will help him in that direction because of the broader scope that he will have. I think this is a very interesting take because I've heard and I've seen that PMs, or this PM family of roles, are like being a mini CEO of a company, but instead of the company, you're like the CEO of a product, and so you're kind of taking care of coordination across teams, communication, and things like that. So I think this is a very kind of insightful and reasonable approach to kind of somebody who wants to start a company one day.
I guess I'm getting this done. Very sorry about this. Yeah. Okay. Do I start sharing slides
Yeah.
again?
Yep.
Okay. So let me see that.
All right. I'm gonna add you back to the stream.
Awesome.
Yep.
Sorry, guys. All right. So let me. Yeah, I was talking about what are the fundamental things that uh, made me think about these. Is, yeah. One was basically, what do you really want to do in life, and taking a baby step towards that. And again, like, this is what is my mantra at this point, and that has made me more confident and comfortable in that approach. And and it might not be, I'm not sure if that is 100% right or 0% right, but for me to move in the next step in that direction or keep me focused, so that has helped me. So one takeaway from here would be, like, figure out what really helps you make that first baby step, and just get in the direction. And once uh, once you're in that zone, you will eventually figure out what is working for you, what is not working for you. So, but it's really important that we start thinking that way, and uh, start reacting based on that mindset.
Makes
So
sense. That totally makes sense.
yeah, and uh, no matter like which role you're in and which role you want to get into, it's you should just want to say that don't think that you're not the right fit or you don't it's going to be a big hurdle. There's definitely possibilities, and being in corporate culture there are various positions, there are various opportunities, various like different time frames. So just keep at it, and you will get your way through it. And like for me it's been about like how many 6 years. And I started like after my 6 months at Microsoft, like I just graduated 6 months at Microsoft. I just had that intuition that okay, I guess I need to step into PM. And I just what I was doing is I just started knocking doors. Like I would go into the job portal and see where are the PM positions at my level, and just email the hiring manager and go into their room and just speak to them, and basically just try to get a more feel, because once you're talking about a position, then you will actually gain ground zero insights about the PM, what it is about, and what are the expectations. And that at that point becomes a real deal because you are actually talking about a PM position. So that gave me a real hands-on, you know, exposure to what the PM expectation is, and what is the criteria to be a PM. So all of that really helped me. And again, I was not mentally prepared for success at that level, but that was again, I would say, a step in that direction, that okay, what it is and how it's gonna, what do I need to do to be a PM, so things like that. So there's no fixed rule, so just take it organically and start what you feel like doing.
Yeah.
And maybe we can talk more like in the coming slides, and if people have any questions I can answer more.
Yeah, there's definitely lots of questions around, this transition, how to decide, when to decide, kind of what the trigger points are.
Sure.
Maybe let's go through and see, what you have to share with us today, and then
Yeah.
we can come back with the Q&A at the end.
Yep. So I want to keep it simple and short. So I want to give an overview on between an SD mindset and an PM mindset. So that is why I've made it like few present. I've come up with few slides highlighting both the aspects. Now, what do I own? You will learn about what an SD owns and what a PM owns. And the same with what do I learn? Like what skill sets do you gain as a PM and an SD? And what is right for me, like few things you can start thinking that will help you make that decision. And for tips and tricks, like I've presented few resume tips that have helped me in the past, and then we can take in any explicit Q&A that we have. And uh, yeah, any other queries if there are any.
Perfect. Yeah, this sounds awesome.
Okay. So as a PM, like what do you own, and as an SD? So think to begin, before getting into all of this, right? Think as a product, as a pipeline. That will help maybe visualize where does PM and where does SD fit. So think it as a pipeline, and PM takes the first half at Uber level. I'm talking at the very high level. PM takes the first half, and SD comes in the later half, and then again PM takes over. So, having said that, let's start with the first half. First half is basically you understand what are the goals, what are the vision of your org, and then you come up with a strategy to basically uh, uh, fulfill those goals. And then you present the strategy to the higher leadership principles. You gain approval, and once you have approval, then you talk to engineering team and you collaborate for the implementation, figure out what are the key metrics. And once it is done, you launch, and then again you observe the metrics, provide the feedback to the customers, stakeholders, and that is a happy end to the product. So on a high level, that's where product, PMs, and engineering fit together. And now I would like get into the first half of the PM, like what exactly gets into that. It's basically the Oops. All right. Yeah. So the first thing is the strategy. Like if you have a goal that, hey, I have Facebook app, I need to increase the customer base by 10%. So come up with a strategy. So you own that basically. So that means you talk to the relevant teams. It could be marketing, it could be legal, it could be analytics, whatever it takes. You own that strategy. And when it comes to execution, execution is basically the uber level of your collaboration. It's a combination of your collaboration with the engineering team and all the stakeholders as well. So once you have the strategy on board, like you leadership has approved, then it's then you need to execute on that strategy, and that could mean you getting legal permissions if required, or collaborating with the engineering and making sure that everything is on time, and collaborating with marketing to make sure the campaign is on time. So things like that. That's where the execution comes in. And communication is again critical aspect, where you come at every milestone, or at every milestone of the project, you basically communicate to the relevant stakeholders. And by communication also, it has to be, you need to have that filter based on the people you're communicating with. Like if you're communicating with the leadership, you need not give them in the very internal details of what's going on, where are you blocked. It should be at the uber level of the status, like red, green, yellow, what is the status of that specific milestone. So those are the filters, and those are the main three things that you own. And as an SD, uh, so you have the requirements from PM. Like this is what we're going to build. Like for example, you have Facebook. We need to add an ML model into that in order to provide more better insights. So that's the for example, you have a requirement, and then you're going to think, okay, what can we do? How can we implement that? So you're more along the lines of designing new things from an engineering infrastructure point of view. And also you are more involved in improving process, because it's you already, when you join a team, they already own certain experiences or certain infrastructure. So there is definitely work involved in order to maintain the existing responsibilities as well. So as an engineering team, they are also responsible to deliver new features but also maintain the existing ones. And that is eventually involves in how do you improve the processes, because if something is getting bad, or giving you bugs or customer complaints every now and then, so you do invest certain bandwidth of your resources into improving the existing processes. And as an SD, you can get mentorship. You can be a mentor very early in your career as well, because as an SD, like the ratio of PM to SD is like 1:10. So every team has about usually more than five SDs. And so, and the attrition rate in SD or is also, considering the amount, is pretty quick or pretty frequent. So you always have incoming employees and outgoing, like people keep joining in every now and then, and for new people you need to ramp them up. So it gives you an opportunity to be mentored as an SD much quicker as a PM, because PM, you it's one person army, and you rarely have people under you when you start off your career. So you don't get mentorship as a PM very early on. Probably once you are very VP or at a high level, then you have PMs reporting to you. So at a over level, this is what is the ownership of PM and SD.
Yeah, very interesting. And I feel like, so when I was at Amazon, we had a PM in our team, and I felt like you guys have some superpowers when it comes to like all this communication, especially in organizations
Yep.
as big and wide and cross-functional as Amazon. And I think that's like one of the key differentiators, at least if deciding if you wanted to go for a PM type role, is like how comfortable are you with cross communication, and like do you enjoy it or not?
Yeah.
And then of course all these other aspects that you discussed.
Yeah. And also, along with comfortable, there are at times you also get thoughts that do am I comfortable? Am I uncomfortable because I don't know, or is it about in communication in general? So there is a difference in both of those mindset as well. So keep this in mind as well, because communication skills, this can be gained with time. There are tons of training resources, and this has been communication is something that has been in existence for centuries, so this is not a new thing. So you definitely have resources out there. And so just think from that point of view, whether do you enjoy communicating with your friends, do you enjoy communicating with, you know uh, outside of company, outside of the work, how comfortable are you communication? So that should be the trigger, whether how comfortable you are in communication, because the relevant skills that can be obtained with time, so don't worry on that.
Definitely. Makes sense.
All right, so let's proceed to the next one. What do I learn as a PM and what do I learn as an SD? So as a PM, you get to make the product decisions and the trade-offs. For example, there are if you own any product, and in a company there are various PMs from other teams or various engineering managers who are going to come to you and say, we need this, let's get this done, and by this timeline we need this, we need to do this. So there are a lot of things that are gonna come in your way, and as an owner you got to decide like what is best for the business, a, and then second is what is best for the team as well. Like what makes more sense. You cannot fit everything into a basket, and um, that is not a sustaining model. So really you got to make trade-offs. And the second one is more along the lines of communication, like alignment with the stakeholders, like whatever decisions you're making or whatever progress you're making, you got to make sure for a given project all the stakeholders are aligned with that. And it could be in the form of an email, it could be in the form of a meeting, it could be in the form of an escalation as well at times. So you got to make sure like what it takes to get alignment on with the stakeholders. And the last one is manage and evaluate launch and respond to the feedback. So this is again coming towards the end of the pipeline, where uh, you manage a launch in terms of like how are the metrics looking for the, like what are the first 3-day metrics looking like, and what are the dashboards we need in order to evaluate that, and whatever like if there's something goes wrong, what sort of feedback mechanism do we need to have. So you will go through these exercises, and so and you will learn like basically how do you launch a product. And again, by product is a very broad term. It could depend on, it could be as minimal as launching a new API, that is itself a product, versus launching Facebook, that is also a product. So and if you're starting off very early in your career, um, the product that you're going to work on would be a sub product of the major product. Basically, if it could be it will be a very minimum one, but again, it will go through all of these phases, so that will give you a good grilling of what a PM lifecycle is.
Mhm.
So yeah. And the next one is in for SDs, it's like you learn more about the design and technical implementation. Um, like you start thinking, what technologies do I use, and how should the data flow be like once? What should be the input? What should be the output? What should be the contract between the APIs? So it's all about how the services should be connected, and how the data should flow in the pipeline. So it's more about all of that. And you get expertise in your tech stacks and various programming languages. Like for me as an SD, I have gained experience in Azure while at Microsoft, and at AWS, like in AWS at Amazon, and programming languages like C Sharp, Java, and Python. So you get this tons of experience as an SD, and uh, you can switch teams, and you can gain more technical skills, so there's no end to that. So technical experience is uh, yeah, you understand how infrastructure is built and how it is maintained as an SD, the
Yeah,
ground zero level of every product.
definitely.
And the next one is adopt best practices to run a business, which is like once you deliver something and then you start learning how do we maintain that, because for launch you might uh, think one way to design it, but once after it's launched you might have more customers, so then you need to see what is the best way to cater those customers and to maintain the service. So that keeps you thinking that, okay, what are the best practices to build a service, maintain a service that you can carry forward. So things like that. And the last one is mentorship, which we already spoke about.
Yeah, definitely. I think, whichever role you go into, there's like so much to learn, right? And just like it's a constant learning experience throughout your career. Like you never stop learning.
Yep. And to give you a little help on what is right for me, you can think along these lines and ask yourself whether I enjoy this or the other. So, as a PM, you get a breadth of the knowledge around shipping a product, like I mentioned. Uh, it's about you need to collaborate with various stakeholders, like various engineering teams, for example, if you are into engineering background. But in general, you collaborate with various teams, so that means you need to have an understanding of what each team owns, and not only within that org, and also it could be outside the org as well, like what marketing does, what legal does. Again, it depends on the niche of the product, but overall you get a breadth of the knowledge around shipping a product. And you prefer like what and why while decision making, and this is what they really stress upon when for any proposal that you make. So you will be challenged on these two aspects in the meeting room. So if you're coming up with a proposal, uh, you need to answer like what are you doing it for, like, and why do we need to do this. So why has to always connect back to the goal, and if it's not pointing to the goal, then you need to question that if this is the right thing or not. And you can apply, and you should be comfortable using that, and prefer making product decisions. This is also more along the lines of why. So having a clear understanding of what is a goal, what is a vision, and making product decisions based on that. So this is the space, like the fundamentals of deciding a very good product manager would be this, because at times product managers do take um, projects that are not completely aligned, and the resources are utilized to complete that, timeline is wasted. So you gotta be really crisp about what you need to do and why you need to do it.
Yeah,
And as an SD, you prefer independence in your work. Again, by independence, it means you have the authority to. There's no time constraint on a given day. Like for PM, what by independence I mean is you got to deliver a document and present it to the stakeholders and get an alignment from them. And if there's alignment, then you proceed forward. But for an SD, you basically you have a task, you do it on your own. Code it out, write the test, submit it to CR, and next day in the stand up, you just say, okay, this is the status. I'm still working at it. This is the status, and I'm blocked at it. That is it. So that's a kind of independence you get as an SD, and but you will still report to a manager. So it's not that you're again hanging alone in the hierarchy. um, Depth of knowledge around shipping a product, depth of knowledge, because you as an engineer, your team will own a specific aspect of the product, and your work will be majorly involved around that feature itself. And so that will really give you a technical deep dive into owning that feature end to end, and also improving that feature end to end. So that gives you various opportunities to think about what technologies can we use in order to better improve this. And also, it's not just limited to that, but you will, in that, I would say, that space, because every year, or like every projects that PM brings bring in, they basically enhance the existing domain. So you will have really good domain knowledge about uh, the domain that you own, and also in terms of technology infrastructure and programming skills.
Definitely. Yeah.
And yeah, you like coding and developing your skill set. It's there's no ambiguity in explaining that. So yeah.
I do have a question for you afterwards about, coding and and like once you're a PM and how your take on coding changes. And that's something that a lot of people also ask us uh,
Okay,
when thinking about PM roles. But yeah, we'll get to that one.
sure, no worries. Let me see. Yeah, next one. Okay, so my tips and tricks. Uh, so this is what I think for resume. I personally think resume as a product itself, because that is what you're selling it to the recruiters and hiring manager, and they basically need to choose your product. So have that mindset while you're working on your resume, and thinking from that backwards, like what are the audience. So it's again basically recruiting and hiring manager. Okay, so these are my audience, and now I need to make sure I have the content that can connect to the recruiter and hiring manager at the same time. So it has to be at Uber level for the recruiter to understand like what basically you're trying to do, and also it has to be at the it has to include technical details and deep dive as well, so that the hiring manager can prefer me over the other candidates. So that is kind of the mindset that I usually have while updating or writing my resume. And um, if it helps, like I can quickly share my resume right now on screen and just walk you through like a couple of things that I'm just about to say.
Oh, yeah, I think that would be amazing if we can do that.
Okay. Yeah, before I do that, let me just finish this couple of points as well. So add an intro about your role or project to set the context. Because at times you say that I worked as an XYZ role at XYZ company, and this is what you did. And it is difficult for the person to understand or connect right away with the content, because think of the recruiter or hiring manager, they're going to spend just 15 to 30 seconds on your resume to absorb all the content. And I feel it will be good to just give a one liner intro about what exactly the product is about, and the next subsequent lines, it will help them connect to the product. So in that way you can explain your impact and your contribution more effectively.
Yeah.
And the next one is be flexible with the template. Like you got to figure out what is the information you want the recruiter hiring manager to look at first. So just have that at the very top. And at times people get bogged down that I need to have education details at the very top, I need to have experience at the very top. I would say it's one page is your real estate. Just have it in a way that people can read and understand. That should be the goal. And yeah, that is what has worked for me. But yeah, and adding a one line summary is what I'm gonna talk about as well, and keep it to one page. Yep. So let
Yep.
me see if I can. Wait, how do Okay, let me. I gotta stop here.
Yeah, and then you can.
Then share again, I guess.
So is this the resume that you had created when applying for the PM roles?
Yes.
Awesome. And so this is basically a resume of you as an SD, right? All your background was in SD and trying to transition to the product management
Yep.
or product management side.
Yep. Um, So I'm not going to share the. It's actually as a PDF.
Can
Adobe. I'm not able to open Adobe on.
in Chrome. Are you on Chrome? You can share it on
Okay.
Chrome.
Okay. Let me do that.
You can like share your window.
Yeah. Mm, mm, almost there. Able to view it.
Yep, I'm gonna add it to the screen. Awesome.
Okay. So what I wanted to say is
Zoom. Yeah,
things about like summary.
yeah. But
So
do you mind zooming in just a little bit more so that it's easier to read? Yeah. Or,
start off with education here. Provided like I went to product school, and that
okay.
is what I wanted to highlight. That I have gained PM experience through um via school. So that is what I want to highlight at the very top. And again, I did my master's from computer science and then my bachelor's. And technical tools, I've limited it to just languages and the tools. And this is what I wanted to highlight, that if you're a professional, it's good to specify this number right away, because in job descriptions you do see that we need 4 years of experience or 5 years of experience. So writing it here gives them uh, uh, straight fact data that okay, this candidate has this much years of experience, and they need not go and calculate okay how many years does it boils down to on stuff like that. So just make it clear, I have this many years of experience with this breakdown into your companies. And so one thing that has helped as well is, as a software engineer, you tend to write software developer. But once, if you're transitioning into PM, it's good to write it as a product developer. Uh,
I think that's very smart actually.
so that actually uh, psychologically it helps. I wouldn't say theoretically yeah you are different, it's the same thing. But psychologically, when anyone is reading, usually they are used to reading product manager at XYZ company for PMs. For developers, you get into that zone as well, that product developer.
Yeah.
And so similarly, just have one line explaining, like I was at Alexa Communications. So things like worked on a cloud service called calling speechlet. What does it do? It allows calling from Alexa device to another Alexa to mobile device. Okay. So this is the service that I was working on. Just to just give them an insights. And then basically whatever you write here should help should help them connect to it now. In connect to them, connect better. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I see that you've, focused more on like your collaboration experience,
Yeah.
your um, requirement gathering, proposals, implementation,
Yeah.
operational load. And it's interesting because, you were an SD, right? And you haven't wrote, I did blah, blah, blah code in Java and this service, that service. I like how, you like reading this, it does feel like, this is a product person who's applying for this role,
Yeah.
despite that you're actually an SD.
Yeah.
So that's very interesting, and I hope people, can take away from this that even as an SD, you are able to write such bullets in the resume.
Yeah. And again, think of it as a product, right? Like whom are you selling this to and what it is for? So you're selling it to a recruiter who's looking for a PM position. So it is very important that you invest time on your resume, because we spend months, weeks preparing, and if the resume is not good, it might not get through, and all of your preparation might not see the day of light.
Uh,
So please prioritize putting time on your resume.
yeah,
And so that's basically what I wanted to say, is basically add. some sort of introduction about what you what the product is about, and the subsequent points should basically add to it. So that will help the people reading it connect to the content, and they can evaluate you in a much better way.
For sure. And Varun, just for fun, was there any challenges you faced when you were submitting this resume to PM roles? Did anyone kind of give you any feedback in terms of like the recruiting team?
No, the people usually don't give feedbacks. They don't have much time.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, yeah. This is what I just wanted to share on the resume to highlight these few points. And there are no questions. Like, I can get back to the slide section.
Yeah. So I think we were actually done with the slides, right? There was just the slides which had the questions text on it. So we can just kind of be here on chat, and I have the questions that people have asked us. There's actually some people are saying great session and stuff like that, but there are questions as well. And I'm just gonna jump right into questions. I think you gave a lot of content and lots
I'm
of.
sorry to overwhelm you then.
No, no, it's not overwhelming. It's very, I think, structured. So hopefully at this point, my understanding is that whoever's watched through the whole video, they have context on what it is to be a PM versus SD, the main focus areas, learnings, and kind of what it is that helps you decide. One thing that I would like to hear from you is, what was your first month like as a TPM? Because you just transitioned, it's fresh for you. So how has it been? It's been your first month, basically.
Yeah. Uh, First month as a PM, I would say it's little bit relaxed, I would say, to be honest,
Yeah,
because I came from a team where the again, I would say this is specific to me. I wouldn't generalize it. So because the team that I was working on was working on a very tight timeline project,
yeah.
and we were at crunch situation for the past 6 months,
Hmm.
and so this was a bit of a breather for me to just take a step back and basically relax, and and basically I was very happy, to be honest, because as an SD, like, I when I was free, I would basically look at videos on what strategies is this company coming up with, what are the new features they're coming up with, and what is the reason behind coming up with this feature. So that is where I would invest my time. And now that I'm a PM, so even during work hours, I'm able to read that because now data has become part of my job.
What is your
So
job?
so I'm happy to see that I'm getting time to invest on things that I personally enjoy. So that that has been a stress buster as well, in a way, and also giving me confidence that, okay, I am one step ahead or one step closer to where I want to be. So that mentally, that has been a real good change in the past 1 month. And the other one, from role point of view, what right now in virtually environment, it is difficult to connect to people and ramp up on the new team and the domain as well. So I would say, yeah, you got to be patient, and like, if it's an in-person work environment, you just walk to that person,
Yeah,
uh, have a short conversation for 5 minutes, and then you're done. But right now everyone is packed with 30 minute slot. It's difficult to even have those 5 or 10 minute conversation, so you end up having 30-minute conversation, but that slot you get uh, later in the day or next day. So it's ad hoc conversation has been affected, I would say. And um, yeah, from PM point of view, like, I'm more reading docs related to the goals, vision, what are we doing, and what is the roadmap. So it's a different, like I was saying, the first half of the pipeline. So
yeah,
I'm more focused on the first half of the pipeline right now.
definitely. And so it's really early for you, right?
Yeah.
But Do you miss doing hands-on work like coding?
Coding, little bit, yes. And again, it depends in your head, like how much you connect to PM and SD. That will basically help answer this question. Like, um, if you are really affectionate towards SD, you are going to miss coding, I would say, really bad. Because here there's no way you're going to, no way, I wouldn't, no way would be the wrong word, but here there are going to be very less chances that you're going to code.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
And that's something that a lot of technical folks who are looking to transition into the PM family of roles, I think this is one of their like biggest concerns is what if I want to move back to SD at some point? Like, if I'm a PM for X number of years, I've now lost my technical skills. So I guess what's your take on that?
so I was pretty so when I transitioned outside my team, but within Amazon. And when I would speak to hiring manager, I would put it in a I would explicitly ask them that, hey, if things don't turn out the way it's expected, what is the worst thing that could happen? So then you can know that how much cushion do you have in that team, and how much of a two-way door decision this is going to be. If they say that we rely heavily on our PM and we want them to perform, then it depends. Then that means there's no turning back in that team. Versus a team, if they say that, okay, that's fine, we it happens, and if you're switching roles, it's totally acceptable that you might not like it, so you can come and work as an SD as well in the same team. So uh, and then based on what options you have, you make that call.
Definitely.
So, but it's always good to have that explicit discussion that this is what you're signing up for.
Yeah.
And based on the options you have and based on your mindset, then you just go ahead with it. Because either both of them, you can rock any of those two options that you have. So, yeah,
I mean, personally, I've had this struggle too, but not PM to SD. It was more like SD to SDM.
got it.
I moved into the management role, and then it's always a struggle of like, oh well, I'm like a technical manager, but I'm not doing technical work, and it's like this
Got it.
question always. I did move back to being an individual contributor, but yeah, it's definitely something that I feel comes across most people's mind,
Yeah,
especially when you have technical background.
yeah.
And
Yeah,
and
and it's
yeah,
fair. It's good to just be honest with them, that because I used to always also say that, hey, for any service launch that we do, we also write down in record that what could happen if something goes wrong, and then we highlight the worst impact that could happen. So similarly, in this kind of career conversation, I also want to ask you that what could happen if something goes wrong. So just keep it in that way as well, and try to understand how receptive is your new team.
yeah, you're using those communication skills.
Yeah.
So, and this is a very interesting question that is posed based on the fact that, you do have an SD background and you are a PM for a technical team or group within Amazon. Is Does having an SD background give you an unfair advantage?
uh, from technical point of view, yes, definitely yes. And it's you got to flaunt it, the technical advantage, because that is what you have been on ground zero. You know how components connect, how they talk to each other, how they are maintained. And people who you'll be meeting in the room, they don't have that knowledge.
Mhm.
So that's what you bring to the table, and you got to flaunt it out even in while talking to the hiring manager, as well as the interview loop that you get in. You can just say that I can speak the technical terms to the developers, and I can speak the project communication to the stakeholders. So any raw idea you have, I can convert that into technical requirements and collaborate with the engineering teams. And also things like being a developer, I work with various technical teams. as well, because when you develop a feature, it requires collaboration with various teams. So I know, I'm aware of how do you communicate with technical teams, and uh, how how do you run a feature by collaborating as well. Because most of the times, if you as a developer, you also collaborate with other developers from other teams,
Yeah,
so you get that inherent experience of collaboration with technical teams, and which is what PMs also do. So that is where you gotta see there's always a mix. And there's an interesting thing I want to say. Probably I'll keep it for later in the giveaways. But yeah, so you should just highlight your experience, because that is your advantage.
for sure. And so, kind of, jumping topics here just a little bit is, lots of people are always interested in becoming PMs, like we know. But one question that comes up all the time is like, okay, well, I understand what a PM does, right? Like on a high level, we understand, okay, this is your strategy, execution, communication. But as a developer, I know like, okay, if I have 8 hours in the day, maybe five, six, I'll be writing code. But as a PM, kind of, what does your usual day look like?
um, as a PM, the usual day is, the first off, you have meeting with the higher leadership people
Mhm.
on checkpoint on where exactly we are on and what are the blockers. So to give them an high level, and then based on how many projects you are handling, you would attend meetings for that if required. If not, you'll be working on a document for uh, for a blocker that you have experienced, and now you're figuring out a new strategy for that. So you're going to write a doc for that. That is going to be uh, that's going to be part of your day. And other part is to attend the scrum meeting or the stand up for the developer, like the engineering team that you're working with, if required. And so I'm just giving you, usually these are the various things that you can see yourself being involved. But yeah, and the other one is looking at the data, like how is the product doing, and what if there's any alarming metrics that is coming along. You spend time with the data. So, and it's more, if you're into the, again, daily phase, these are the various things.
Yeah.
And yeah, I would say this usually happens. And again, based on the project, whatever is required, you do that as well, which could be uh, meeting with the business insights team, or meeting with other stakeholders.
Yeah, I believe it's definitely also very dependent on your team role, org, etc. But yeah, thank you for that. I at least gives a high level overview.
Yeah.
So one last question before we kind of wrap up for the day. And I think this is what hopefully, before leaving, it's like the nugget of wisdom that you give us is what is your key takeaway for the audience?
Um, Key takeaway for me, like, is, first thing is, believe in yourself, I would say. uh, because there is no hard and fast rule to put, uh, like, to restrict you, as if you're an SD, to be an SD itself. It doesn't matter. So you got to believe yourself that you're an SD right now. If you want to transition to any role, no matter it be PM, but it could be any other role, you are free to do so, and there's no one stopping you from doing that. So you got to believe that first. And if it helps you, I would also emphasize on a new, a different mindset, like stating that all SDs are PMs already. To add to that, like, if you can share my slide deck,
Sure.
let's see. This guy is it. Application window, Chrome. So now, for a moment, skip PM and write SD on top of that. What do you see? You see strategy, you see execution, you see communication. Now you have a design that you're going to present to the engineering team. What do? You strategize that you provide the various options or the various uh, ways you can implement that design, right? So that's your strategy. Execution is what? What is your execution? It's basically uh, implementing it, coding it out, collaborating with different engineering teams if you want, if it's a cross team project, and that's where you do the execution. The next is communication. So that's where you inform that, hey, I'm blocked on this. Can the other team uh, uh, get done with their work so that we can move ahead? So this is what you communicate to the stakeholders, that this is where the engineer team is blocked. So you already do that sense of communication. So you are already a PM in that way. You already perform strategy, execution, and communication. And the next one is like, what do you learn as an PM? You have decisions and trade-offs. You already make those trade-offs and decisions while you're presenting a design. So you make trade-offs like, why are we reading from this DB? Why are we using DynamoDB versus why not the other set of DB? You provide the metrics there. You provide latency. You provide availability metrics. So you are already doing that trade-off as well. And alignment with stakeholders. You're going to make sure people are on board with your design. And manage, evaluate, launch. So once your code hits production, or once your feature hits production, you also look at how are the metrics looking. And if it's for beta testing, you see what kind of bugs are we getting it. So you are also part of the launch cycle. And the same thing, why, what and why is, again, you justify that in your design as well, like why are we using this technology versus the other, and you make that product decision. It could be a technical decision. So overall, what I wanted to say is, uh, all SDs are PMs in a way. So you have that mindset. So don't say that, okay, PM, I need to do XYZ. Yes, in paper, you need to get those numbers for that product, but the mindset wise, you already have that mindset.
Definitely. I think that's amazing. That's a very cool way of thinking about it.
And the next one is, be persistent on that. Like, for you to transition, it all depends on how much persistent you are to transition. Like, there could be times where things might not work out the way you want. Like, you go and speak to your manager, but manager doesn't give you opportunities. So then what do? Either like that, similar things happened to me as well. Like, I was new in the team while at Amazon. I was still in my mind. I was having I wanted to do PM kind of stuff, and I couldn't just go there right away and ask for PM work. But in parallel, I joined a product school, uh, and where we had a session for about that session was for about 2 months, and that gave me a breather as well. Okay, after work I can go there, and that's gonna be like my stress buster. I can just be in that space, connect with those people, and be in that community. So that is what I'm doing, to keep myself, calm, happy, satisfied, things like that. And also, like, whatever work I get, try to um, try to showcase PM skills in those projects. Like, if it's a feature that you have, just create a wiki, that create a document and write out, like, who are the stakeholders, what is the goal, what is the strategy we're using it. So just have a one pager document for that. And also include the status about it. And if someone asks that, hey, this is the document that we have, you can get everything from here. So that gives you writing practice, and also it gives you visibility in a way. When you start sharing the document, it gives a visibility that, okay, like, he has written a really good doc, and gives that psychological impression that okay, he's thinking of like when you go and talk to your manager about PM, and he has seen your documents, stuff like that, so they can connect to it, or they can give you opportunities. So be persistent, and like during this lockdown, I also had a session with an Olympian,
Mhm.
and she mentioned that writing goals on the paper or on the wall really helps. So that is what I also did. Like I had a goal that by end of this year I want to transition, and I want to see myself working in that team, in a new team. So just think about that. That helped me think every day, and whatever work I was picking up, I would evaluate that, is it helping me in this direction or no. And if the answer was no, no, no for a series, then uh, it made me realize that something is not going the right way, and I really need to change something. So having that mindset has helped me a lot, and I would encourage, if people uh, like this, to please try it out. This has worked for many people, and including me. So just try it out, set some goal, and whatever decision you have, just let it flow through that funnel, I would say.
Definitely. Great advice, Varun. Appreciate it. And yeah, that's very interesting. I know this came at the end, and so hopefully
No,
people that decided to drop off early, they'll come back and see that part. But really amazing. I think you know it's very rare that people hear from someone like you who has just made this transition from SD to PM, right? Usually we'll find people who want to transition, or we'll find people who transitioned many years ago, right? And I'm really grateful and thankful that you were able to come and talk to us, talk to the audience, because you're kind of a role model for everyone right now who's in that first part of this equation where they're just looking to switch or thinking about it. So thank you very much.
yeah,
Um, we will share the video with everyone after, and hopefully anyone that can benefit from it will be able to make use of your tips, your tricks, and your journey basically, and all your insights.
awesome. And thanks a lot for having me. Sorry if the slides were a bit messy.
That's okay, no worries.
Yeah, I really enjoyed having a session with Fang as well, and you guys are doing really good job. So yeah, and if there are any questions for me, just let me know, and I can help answer them.
Definitely. Yep. Thank you, Varun. Appreciate it.
Yeah, have a
Bye.
good day. Bye.